Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. It is Heat N, and possibly one of my favourite Heats of the series. It's up there with Heat J, I think, probably almost tied. I mean, leaving aside the Simon Harrison bias of having on the episode, it was still a legitimately good episode, and this one is also really good. And we get the birth of a very popular future semi-finalist, and including this in the series as well, of course. And I'm joined by Alexthehunted.
He's locked the door, god damn it.
You will never escape me, Alex.
Ugh.
But in fairness, though, you wouldn't want to miss this episode. It's
true.
It's a pretty good one.
True. Yeah. It's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good one. And as usual, we start with a Heat winner. And, of course, it's a very famous, soon future multiple semi-finalist. We have Thing 2. Not Wild Thing, like it's normally called, but Thing 2. Thing 2. It was Nick Adams was on the Demon team last series.
Yeah.
He wasn't the captain, but one of the main
It's
players.
A completely different team, even though the robots kind of got the same theme.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much it's brand new too. He's got his kids with him, and that's the team that pretty much stays. So they don't really change the team at all. I don't think.
Yeah. Because people say it's like Wild Thing never, because of a Demon, Wild Thing isn't a robot that always made a semi-final. Technically, Demon isn't any relation to Wild Thing. It's just got one member of the team on it.
Yeah, it's true. It's sort of like the Evil Weevil scenario.
Yeah.
Except not as good.
Yes. Wild Thing for me, well, Thing 2, but Wild Thing, the whole, apart from Series 6 Wild Thing, is probably one of the most, I honestly think they're some of the most underrated robots in the whole show's history. Like, there's always those like lists of best robots, and Wild Thing's rarely ever on one.
It's weird because Nick Adams is one of the best drivers.
I actually argue that he is the best driver.
He is the best driver. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely up there. If it he's not my personal favorite, but he's my favorite's in the next Heat. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but
the one that gets it for me is when Wild Thing in Series 4 fights Exterminator, where he gets Exterminator up at his wedge, and then just in the corner, he does a little spin to get completely under. It's like it was still underneath Exterminator. It was just on the edge, so he turned it around, and it was just such good driving. But yeah.
I mean, the Series 3 Wild or Thing 2 in this case, it's probably the most basic version of Wild Thing because it's literally just a wedge. It's got a spike at the back, but it doesn't really.
That's not its weapon.
It's not really a weapon. It's just sort of an extra because for some reason back in Series 3 and all 2 and all that, people thought they had to stick an extra weapon on it for some reason on any robot, even though it was perfectly fine as a wedge. But it'd be like Stegosaurus's lifting tail. It's like it's useless, but it's just there because they feel like they have to have a weapon on it for some reason. But Thing 2 is a really good robot. It's one of the best driven robots in this series. Very unlucky in the semi-finals because
it was gonna honestly, if that spike didn't intervene, it probably would have beaten Panic Attack.
It was beating Panic Attack as well.
Yeah,
and then of course the spike decided to have one last go against the. That was the last time the spike really did anything horrible in the series, and unfortunately, it had to be Thing 2 that it affected. But I mean, it's got.
Another great thing about the Thing, especially Wild Thing, is that it is like a Toyota Hilux. It takes some of the biggest beatings in the whole show's history, yet it never dies.
It survived Hypnodisc pretty well in Series 4.
Yeah, it survived Hypnodisc. It survived Razor. It survived 259. Like Wild Thing just keeps going.
It's fought a lot of pedigree robots. I mean, it's fought robots like Firestorm, Hypnodisc, Dominator 2, Tornado. Yeah, I mean, even that. It always has a few decent little scrapes here and there. And I mean, also we got to address the Series 6 version though. It is. I
don't know what they were thinking with that one.
It's like 3 Stacks to Heaven for me. It's like they chose they had a nice design, and then of course they got very lucky in their Heat against 259. To be honest with you, but it's amazingly poor, the Series 6 version. And
if it didn't have Nick Adams driving it, it probably would have just crashed out in the heat.
Even with Nick Adams, I felt they were very lucky though. And then they just it just didn't really do anything. I mean, I keep forgetting that Wild Thing's in Series 6 because I always forget it's a completely different robot. And it's like, oh yeah, they appeared, and then look back at it and go, whoa.
I never understood why they completely ditched that version of Wild Thing. Because
it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they remove the spinner, because I honestly think it was the spinner in Wild Thing. Wild Thing should have had a lifter or a crusher instead of a spinner.
Yeah, the Series 4 version's the best one. because
Yes.
it just sticks to being a lifter on a wedge. That's all it needed, and I think the disc was a bit too overkill. And the amount of times the disc would kind of like stop its maneuverability because it would spin around and kind of gyro it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Series 3 version, for what it's worth, is definitely one of the best semi-finalists there is out there.
Yeah.
And
It's just a little bit difficult to turn. That's all it is, really.
a little bit, but it's compensated by Nick Adams, in fairness, to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
He's usually quite good at... I mean, he had a good go against All Talk later on, but...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll get to that fight obviously later, but there's something I want to say about that one, definitely. But, yeah, Thing 2. I mean, I was confused when I was younger, though. I didn't know where the original Thing was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things I didn't know as reference to Adam Family, so I was like, where was Thing? It's like Scudder's Revenge. I didn't know the reference. I was just like, okay, where's the original? Where's the original? But that's being a dumb 5-year-old.
You could say that its name is simply Thing, that it's a sequel to All Robots.
Pretty much.
Because all robots are a thing.
I mean, that's sort of our especially me and Sam's sort of description when we don't really know how to describe a robot.
Yeah.
Like, try Terrabot. It's a thing.
Yeah. Would Wild Thing be classed as a barnyard because it is a thing?
No, unfortunately, it's not classed as a barnyard. Actually,
has a demon face.
It's not a demon. Yeah, but demon's not really a quote unquote animal. It's more of an entity.
It has goat legs, but yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking at the robot though, there's nothing animal-like about it. But speaking of the Barnyard series, actually that segues nicely into the runner-up for this heat. Of course, it is the lovely, the shiny Cerberus.
Yes, I must say I love Cerberus's look more than its performance.
Oh, hands down.
It's one of the most. It's a very lucky robot.
It is very lucky. Actually, granted, it did well in the second round, but in the first round, it got very lucky. And actually, even in the World Championship, they got dead lucky because the robot wasn't even allowed into the arena that it was against. And I love this team though. I do love the Cerberus.
Seriously.
No, the Cerberus team are great. The robot is probably one of the nicest designs in this series.
Oh yeah, it looks great. It's a hell dog. I mean, but I thought, is it Cerberus that has more than one head? But
yeah, Cerberus has 3 heads, but apparently, imagine in fairness though, it would look way too cluttered if you put 2 extra heads on it.
Yeah,
it'd be like ton to run otherwise, with just stuff stuck on it and see what happens. But I mean, the Series 4 Cerberus was very unlucky and lucky at the same time to get knocked out in the first round because they got knocked out by VMAX, sure, but at the same time they didn't face Hypnodisc, so
and they were also overweight, and they came into series 4 without a Shreemech as well. Actually, I don't think they ever really put a Shreemech on Cerberus.
I think they did for the Extreme version, I think, but they did. I think the one that tried to qualify for Series 5 did have a Shreemech, I believe. I don't quote me on that, but they tried to qualify for Series 5 and 6, and why they didn't let him in, I don't know. Because it's a gorgeous robot.
I just one thing about Cerberus, like Series 3, they started with a blade. They had to remove it because it was hardened blade, and of course the last heat and Plun the Bird also had to remove their weapon, didn't they? Because they had to get it removed. So I was like, if they're gonna come back, why don't they just put a little mini drum on it instead of that little claw? Because I don't understand what that claw was supposed to do.
I don't know either. It just looks this weird little spike thing that sticks out of it. I think the lift is. I think it was supposed to lift the back tail, but it never really lifted the entire time. It just sort of like flopped about.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, for a robot with such high ground clearance, I'm surprised it didn't get flipped over earlier. In all honesty.
I gotta say, for a Series 3 especially, this heat has a lot of very quick robots in it, because Cerberus and Wildfing are very fast.
All talks fast.
Yeah.
Prize Fighter is decently fast, I think.
Kilohertz can move.
Actually, when Griffin's working, it can actually move. But there's a lot of decently fast robots, considering that Series 3 didn't have a lot of very, very fast robots. Like most robots didn't get to around 12 miles an hour until like Series 5 or something like that.
Yeah, the average roundabout this area was around about 6 or 7 miles an hour, is probably.
Yeah, considering looking at Series 9 in comparison, 12 is like if you're lower than 12 miles an hour, you're considered slow. So I mean something like Frostbite that was it was a Trolley Rage. I think it was like 6 miles an hour, something like that.
Yeah, Sabretooth could only do 9. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's considered slow nowadays, but that was like above average, around average back in the days. But I love Cerberus. It's just amazingly designed, and again, very, very lucky in many aspects. But at the same time,
it's more aesthetically pleasing than it is actually good at fighting.
Oh, I agree. But then again, sometimes I don't really care when the robot is not good as long as it looks very nice. And
Yes, exactly.
I approve of that. And another robot that I absolutely adore, and it's just a shame they had to go against such a great semi-finalist in their run, was All Talk.
Yes, this is the last good old talk.
I
This is
agree.
This is the last talk.
For some reason, Sam Elliott thinks that Small Talk is good. I don't know where he's coming from with that, because
The idea of small talk is good. The execution wasn't.
yeah, exactly. It just didn't do anything. I mean, I kept forgetting that Small Talk was a thing, and then obviously they had the Hippo in Extreme and Series 5, and it's just
And fighting talk.
and Fighting Talk. I mean, the Fighting Talk's about better, and that's saying something.
But yeah, small talk. No, sorry, all talk. It is basically a box with a wedge.
It's true, but it's a very effective box with a wedge.
Yeah.
It's very similar to a Tornado in later series and so.
It is like it's like a little mini prototype Storm 2 in a way.
Yeah, it is actually. I mean, I would definitely say, while Stegosaurus is considered like the first good rammer, I personally think All Talk is slightly better, just the way it's built. It's built
because it can turn.
Also, it's built to be a rammer. It's faster than Stegosaurus. It's got more of a wedge. It's got 2 wedges on it. It's got, there's massive chunky go-kart wheels as opposed to Steg 2's tiny little wheels that kept getting caught in the armor constantly. And yeah, as you said, it turns better. It turns so much on a dime, and it's. I mean, both versions of All Talk were very good, and both were very unlucky in a lot of ways. This one was definitely better.
All Talk definitely is. All Talk was a heat. Would have been a heat winner in some other heats. Not all. It's not like Big Cheese or Exterminator. But some heats it definitely would. But some heats it would have won. I definitely think it could have won.
Yeah, and also they appeared later on in the World Championship, which you're also part of, I believe. And
Yes.
They lost to Razor because obviously Razor's a very easy robot for them to grab. And naturally, like 101 was at the same time. It's a good robot, but against Razor, it had no chance.
Razor loves boxes.
And they had Hamish, which is the best mascot ever, next to the one on Purple Predator.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Hamish. But yeah, I love this. I mean, I think this version is definitely slightly better than the Series 2 version. It had more pushing. Yeah, it had more pushing power. Because it
had a base plate.
it had a base plate. Yeah, and the Series 2, because the Series version of 2 of All Talk, it managed to be outpushed by King Buxton. While here, it didn't get outpushed by a lot of things really, unless it was like low on power.
It also has the King Bee problem that all versions of All Talk had, even Small Talk, is it just kept catching fire.
Actually, to its credit though, in this series though, Shunt caused the damage. It wasn't due to any like unluckiness. I think Shunt managed to hit the wrong part of the body.
But it did catch fire.
It still caught fire. The Small Talk was the worst offender of that though. That just died by doing nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this series. I mean, this is the best
There's not really
version.
much to say about the robot itself. I mean, it's very good, but it is basically a four-wheeled box with a scoop on the front.
Pretty much like a live circuit robot, but except plays box with flipper.
Yeah.
Like, there's some robots you just can't really complain about because they're just that good. But yeah, All Talk, very very unfortunate. And another robot that was very unfortunate last series that ended up, I guess, doing slightly better. They won a fight at least. Griffin.
Yeah.
Shortest battle.
This is probably one of the most disappointing robots ever.
I mean, you think a robot based off of sort of a Biohazard type lifter would be really good.
Yeah.
It flipped one robot. I think it was Sergeant Bash in the internet interaction.
Yeah, well, it flipped over a robot in this heat, but it was invertible, so
it was very. You can flip any invertible robot over pretty easily, and
yeah,
Griffin seems to suffer. Was it too low to the ground because it stopped like multiple
I don't know
times.
what it is. It just kept stopping and started. It's not in the way of radio interference because with radio interference, like that source, it's kind of more like it's kind of patterned. So you can there's a rhythm to it. With this, it was more a case of it looked like it just got stuck, or the wheels just, or it just partly died. It didn't pulse off.
I just think it was too low for its own good because it kept getting stuck on the arena flipper multiple times. And actually, looking at the stats, this robot is actually how many centimeters do you think Griffin is height?
I'm gonna say 10.
You're very close, 12. It is one of the slowest robots in the entire. It's probably like not as bad as something like Actually, was Killdozer lower? I'm quite curious. I'm actually literally looking it up as I speak now. I'm quite curious about Killdozer. Killdozer was. Oh no, Killdozer was 30 centimeters high. Huh. All right, they're really low then.
Yeah.
It's just this. I mean, in Series 2, obviously, they just completely got ganged up on them. I mean, the Gauntlet was the worst place for them to be in. And then they finally they got some recognition in the interaction where they managed to win it after flipping over Sergeant Bash.
And they were nominated for a Series 2 award, weren't they?
I think it might have been maybe engineering. I think it might have been.
Or most original. It was one of those.
It might be. It's one of those things. They didn't win it, I know, but then they tried to qualify for Series 4 and failed, unfortunately.
I think that was more a case that they just looked at his past run and was like, yeah, no.
Well, I think that maybe was just unreliable because the Griffin's never been that reliable, particularly this performance in Series 3. It was not. They probably didn't change much in it, I would imagine.
Well, actually, no. I just watched the episode today. It's like they added 2 more wheels and they lowered the gear ratio to make it more powerful.
I was talking about the Series 3 to 4.
All right.
I imagine didn't change too much because some robots did that and didn't really get in as a result.
Griffin was 4-wheel drive. It should have been 6, really.
Yeah. Also, it's technically not invertible because it has these little panels on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And it just looks a bit weird that it's like it couldn't move it upside down either. But yeah, Griffin is sort of the embodiment of disappointment. The robot.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other robots I think that might maybe just as bad as this, but I think Griffin's the most notable example for me of a robot that looks like it could have done really well and just never ever managed to really live up to any potential.
Yeah.
But
like everyone says, like Mortis was an underachiever. Mortis reached the semi-final.
Yeah, Mortis race. Well, technically, Griffin has reached the grand final in the form of Cunning Plan, but let's face it, anything could have got the grand final in Series 1. You just built a wedge, and that was it. But it's kind of sad that after all this really great engineering that he's made with Griffin, that little tiny robot is his best robot.
Yeah,
and it's a very easy to build featherweight as well. But oh well. I mean, this is the last time we'll see Oliver Steeples. But as I said, he did work on Star Wars, so he had something else to do. Don't worry. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. And we'll move on to the obviously the ones who lost in the first round, and we'll start with Kilohertz. Why not,
John?
John, you forgot the pit existed in this series. Oh, I mean that's the problem with being in America too often. That you just forget. And of course, this
was probably the best heat for him as well because it was full of robots that would have been great for him to get an axe through.
The only robot that would have caused him any problems would probably have been Thing 2, honestly. And the thing about Kilohertz in this heat is that I think personally the Series 3 version was the best version of Kilohertz because this one went to BattleBots as well.
Yeah. Actually, I just gotta say, like the version that fought in the World Championship looks a bit different than the one that fought in Series 3.
It might have been. Maybe I don't know.
It just looks a bit different. Like I think the front of it or something. It just looks a bit different, but I don't know.
I don't see much of a difference. I mean, I've seen it. Oh, I'm trying to look at the image of the wiki is not appearing. Of course, actually no. Maybe they should have a different shell for it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it had a Charmander on it, but yeah.
Yeah, the Charmander, of course. That is the most important feature. But I mean, this is the first time we get to see the signature Kilohertz bird axe. I love this thing. I mean, the Series 2 was just a generic blade. This is so much. And again, this is the better version of Kilohertz. Like Series 4 version was just there was something wrong with the Series 4 version. I don't know what it was, but
it was just I think it was the speed controller's problem. But yeah.
The Series 2 version, my God, that was the most unreliable version of Kilohertz that was.
Yeah, I think that was version 1 of Kilohertz.
Yeah, I mean this version was great. When it went to America, it won Best Driving in America. Cough.
Yeah. It became it was a semi-finalist in BattleBots. It nearly won it actually at some stage.
It almost took out. Did it take out Mauler? I think or something, or it beat Mauler at least.
Yes, it beat Mauler by getting destroyed, but yes, it beat Mauler.
And it almost took out Chaos 2 at the World Championships. It just got Chaos 2 had that one last flip left in it and managed to flip it over at the last moment. Because if Chaos 2 hadn't flipped him over, they would have had no power left, and Kilohertz would have been able to win that under decision maybe. But this version of Kilohertz is such a shame. It's just why, John? Why did you forget the pit existed?
And it's not like it's Kilohertz is car steering, but it's not like it has a wide turning, so it can turn on a sixpence.
Yeah,
it's just car steering. It's like, so why did he have to go for that long turn?
The funniest bit, it's funny that we'll talk more about the actual fight when we get to it, but
Yeah.
My God, Kilohertz, you had a lot of potential, and then
Kilohertz is kind of like Razor, but not as much as where they love to hype it up,
yeah,
but every time they hype it up, it fails.
and now it's got to the point where it's terahertz, and now it's this most one of the most hyped robot to the series that's never actually managed to get past the round robin stage. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Terahertz is very old at this point, and definitely, honestly, I hope John for Series 10 because John is like Behemoth. He's one of those teams that are in every series. Well, apart from the first.
of course. And if he makes it into Series 10, I'm really hoping if he doesn't change it for Series 10, if you appear in Series 11 as well.
Give it some back armor. Give up polycarbonate doesn't work anymore.
Or just make a redesigned robot. I don't know. 'Cause I like seeing Behemoth and Terahertz and all that, but after a while you see the same robot again. It's like, well, I mean, unlike something like Carbide, which looks or Pulsar, which is like changed internally but looks the same. I don't really feel the difference in Terahertz and Behemoth as much. Like they do feel like the same robot every time. But
Yeah.
actually, same with Apollo as well. They changed some armor, but they still had scratches from Series 8. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, we'll move on to the next one. And oddly enough, a robot that actually fought Wild Thing in a later heat. Oddly enough, Prize Fighter.
Yes.
They fought him in the Series 5 heat final.
Well, they fight them in this heat as well.
I know, and they actually they gave it a much better go in the Series 5, but in Series 3.
To a point, yeah. Series 5. That's something when we get to that. That's an episode.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a weird one. That episode. I mean,
but yeah, this is the first prize fighter, and they kind of basically stuck with that design for it for the whole time, just made it round.
Yeah, they also changed the color scheme on it quite a lot.
Yeah,
they got rid of the sort of glarish overkill type red and orange color and went for like more the polycarbonate route, which is probably worse because polycarbonate is not armor; it's
and they
plastic.
put a plane on it.
Oh, that's true. And how high is this ground clearance on this robot?
It was adjustable apparently. The front was adjustable. It could rise and fall because again, that might be a case of they thought the gauntlet was going to be a thing, so we need to raise the front.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought that, but it's just, I mean, to its credit, the self-writer worked once.
Yes. Actually, it probably would have worked if it didn't. I mean, it was just about to work when it fought the second time, but then Thing 2 came in and did its thing. But yeah, I do like this team. I think they're a very unlucky team because it's not a bad robot.
No, I mean the second version of Prize Fighter in Series 4 was definitely unreliable. It didn't really work very well, but the Series 5 version, they managed to beat the Alien and Thermidor 2.
Yeah,
actually,
some would say we're beating Wild Thing, but the judges decided not to.
I think personally they dominated the first half, but then Wild Thing dominated the second half. And to their credit, that flip on Alien was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it just went right over. I mean, it is sort of like a little jab, isn't it? Like a jabber. It's not much of a lifter. It's more of a jabber, but it has so much power behind it.
It's. And I mean, they did. Prize Fighter went up for sale and was going to be in Series 8, but caught fire.
What a shame, eh?
Yeah.
I really hope you try again. Cool. I'd love to see you try again because that'd be quite cool to see. I mean,
because they actually were selected to be in Series 8, but I think it was during testing before the show, the electronics failed and the whole robot just burst into flames.
Yeah, there's actually a picture of it on the wiki, of it just kind of like you can see a little smouldering around it, and it has a very similar look to it, to sort of like Apollo flipper, that kind of wedge to it.
Yeah.
But I encourage him to try again though, because we want to see it back. I mean, I want to see another version of Prize Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the flipper looks larger on it now. It looks basically it's very similar to the Series 5 version, really. In other words.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good robot. It just. It's got this series. They've got They've got Mike Tyson's head on Craig Charles's body.
So Craig Tyson.
Yeah.
Actually, I will say one thing though. This team, when they were introducing their robot in this series, they took fucking forever, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know when people take the Mick Robot Wars and they just say like it's full of like people doing like the long like there's the episode of Spaced.
Yeah. I know which one you mean. Yeah, Metal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, where they do the thing where they just take the mick of the robot introduction, where it's like them just the robot does. It's kind of like that because, God, do they talk? They like I think they talk more about the robot than the actual fight, and then it fights.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point when Jonathan Pierce full of battle was like, enough talk. I mean,
It's like you'd expect the Monty Python Holy Grail, like, get on with it.
yeah, it was just why would they talk? Why did they let him talk for so long? Like, after, like, I can imagine the producers behind the camera just like pointing at the watch, like, we've got time. You haven't got this much time to fill. Oh, it's probably the longest robot introductions there've been.
I think it is the longest one.
I mean, not as on par with something like when Joe Watts tries to explain everything. Because being like a 6-year-old, it takes him like 5 minutes to explain what wedge is. But yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing, because they decided to talk about everything about the robot.
It's like all you have to say is it's wedge. It's got a flipper at the front. It's got a pneumatic self-righter. It's got whatever the armor is.
And we hope to win.
Yeah, it's got Craig Charles will win. I don't know, something. It takes about like 20 seconds to say what your robot's about, less. But then they're like a solid like.
Look at the Chaos 2 Series 4 one. It's like, yeah, we've changed nothing on the robot.
Except my except
my beard, a desperate attempt to look younger.
Yeah, actually, no. The best introduction, I think, just for how brief it was Killertron in Series 1. This is Killertron, and here's why. Flick the hammer. That's all you needed. That's all you need, because there's nothing else that Killertron has that's useful. So it's like, all right, but as I said, I do love this team. But please don't ramble again if you appear in Series 10, 11, or 12.
Yeah, because you will be edited.
Yeah, you'll be severely edited. I mean, as Sarah Malin discovered in High Five's interview, where they had like 2 minutes of interview or something. After all that, all the only thing got put in was the wheels.
Exactly.
So
if it was prize fighter, they'd probably do a Top Gear style fadeaway.
Probably. Oh, but I love this team. I mean, they're great. They're very underrated as a team, I think, but they're pretty fun. Now a robot that I think, relatively speaking, it's the worst robot in the Heat, but there's got to be. I mean, with such a high standard of decent robots in this Heat, there's always like the Iron Mask with the Heat. I think. Crippler.
Yeah.
Crippler. I mean, they come back as the Predator in Series 4. I mean, she's much better looking, but Crippler itself, it's slow, and its axe is really slow.
It's very top heavy.
Actually, it didn't fall over at least, but actually, I imagine it's quite bottom heavy. So it's got a lot of tracks at the bottom, so I imagine it's quite heavy at the bottom. But the axe is so slow.
There's not much to say about Crippler as well, because it wasn't on TV for very long.
No, I mean, the funniest thing about it in its battle, the best thing is that when it was in the pit, you can see its little head poking out. It was that tall; it could barely fit in the pit. But I mean, is there really anything to say about Crippler? It's just this big
Series
boxy
6
thing.
There's a robot that looks very much like it, but
What
Demolition Man.
Oh yes, Demolition. I can't remember if I said Demolition. Yeah, actually they are very similar in a lot of ways, but they actually chose saw blades for wheels instead. Like when all saw point.
Oh dear, Crippler is like, I mean, I think it probably moved. It was the total amount that it moved under its own power was about 5 inches.
Yeah, and also it went so slow. The axe. It was like, I think as Mr. Psycho describes it, at the speed of gravity. I think gravity's faster than that. Honestly, I mean, as I said, they come back as a Predator in Series 4, and they get completely ripped open by Hypnodisc, which is a shame because it's a very nice looking robot, the Predator.
Yeah.
Sort of like a botched version of Sir Killalot in a way.
This is a robot that there's not much to say because it didn't appear on screen for very long. It didn't do anything.
No, it didn't. And it's
the most it moved was being pushed.
Unlike something like Ton to Run or Crash and Nash, which is sort of interesting in a weird way looking. This is just an axe bot that doesn't really do much.
It's a axe. It's a 2-bar axe, like Chomp or Arnold Day or Destructor Bubble or
Arnold Day was way better though.
Yeah.
And also, it's actually not too far from me. It's from Manchester. And they say there's no good northern bots, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness Big Nipper and TR2 proved that wrong.
Exactly.
And Spikosaurus, of course. Spikosaurus is awesome. And finally,
Spikosaurus is the only winner out of them.
No, TR2.
Televised winner.
Oh, I see. Fair enough. And finally, Daisy Chopper. fucking job.
This is one of those teams. No, this is one of those teams. It's like it's a robot that it's a robot where it's a team. It's a not a very good robot, but the team think it's gonna win.
It's true. Actually, both times the team have entered, because they entered Caliban in Series 2 and got the worst gauntlet run in ever. With 20 centimeters in total.
Yeah.
They invented the first full body spinner, and in Series 3 they invent the first vertical flywheel.
Yeah.
And
they
of
both
course,
suck.
yeah, just like every first pioneer of robots. I mean, thankfully we get robots like 259 later on, or Aftershock, who I'll even say
S3.
even Revelation 2 is better than this, and that robot gets stuck in every robot it touches.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing, it's like a wobbly bit of thin sheet metal. It wobbles when it spins the disc.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
no, the wheels were too flimsy. I mean, they broke while getting flipped over by Griffin. So
and then the team honestly thought they were going to win with this.
I felt like the team was slightly arrogant in Series 3. Like in Series 2, I can forgive them in Series 2, because in fairness, they did lose pretty badly in Series 2. And they took it relatively well. But in Series 3, they were like, oh yeah, we won that. We were more aggressive. We were doing stuff. And it's like, you were barely working for most of that battle. You slammed into Griffin twice, and your disc stopped both times. And then you got flipped over, and your rim broke.
Technically, you were 50% immobile because you couldn't move the other side because the wheel wasn't.
Yeah.
The wheel bearing came off.
As unfortunately this was in Series 3, where that rule was still never taken as seriously compared to something like Suicidal Tendencies in Series 4. But the point being, you didn't do anything. I mean, Griffin flipped you over a couple of times, and
you hit it once.
Hit it a couple of times, and in the end, the disc didn't do anything. Then you broke down. You spent half the match spinning around in a circle in the middle of the arena, while Griffin actually went to go and attack the House Robots because they had nothing else to do. And yeah, I don't know why. It's the only team I think to this day that have ever asked for a recount with the judges.
Well, it's the one that's been televised because Series 9, because I was there for that, the Ironside Pulsar match. Ironside actually appealed that because of the judges, the countdown error.
Okay, fair enough. The first televised one, at least. I mean, it is funny though that the robots like Wild Willy and T2, who could have maybe asked for a recount, but instead it's this robot that gets the recount. Why?
They demand the recount.
They demand it, and they still lost 2-1.
Yeah.
One of the judges still thought they won, which I find amazing. It's not as bad as Corporal Punishment versus Alligator, where one of the judges thought they won, but it's up there with one of the weirdest matches.
Yeah, at least it's not like Firestorm versus Dominator 2, where Firestorm had one more point, but it lost.
Oh, we're not going to go with that one yet. Oh God, that's terrible. But yeah, I mean, actually, speaking of the matches, should we just do that one first? Should we just go to get to that first battle? Griffin versus Daisy Chopper was.
It's the worst match of the episode.
Thankfully, it's in the first rounds. We get it over and done with. And I mean, it just consisted of Daisy Chopper spinning up its flywheel and then hitting it, and it just stopped straight away. Like it didn't even no impact whatsoever. And
I think, honestly, looking at it, I don't think the weapon is like belt driven. I think the motor is literally connected to the disc.
I think it is, because it looks like something from like Robot Arena 2, and it's something I would make in Robot Arena 2.
Because the other reason is because it slips when it hits something. Like it's just this isn't a very. It's nothing really happens in this fight either, because Griffin is not working properly because it keeps stopping and starting.
Yeah.
And
Daisy Chopper broke halfway through because I think the tire got disattached from the rim. So it was just spinning. It was just spinning in the middle. And the funny thing is, the way how it got broken is amazing, because you think, oh, he got hit by a house robot or did some damage, he got hit really hard against the arena wall or something. No, Griffin lightly flipped it over.
Yeah.
And then it drove on its rim and broke, and its own wheel broke itself off while it was getting flipped over. It was just, my God. And they thought they won. Again, I still can't get over that they thought they won this battle. And
yeah, they had to have the judges rejudge it, and they had Philippa have to get the battle sheets to show the judges' scores. And it was like, really, if it was a good close battle, like maybe you could, but like
no, it's not. It's hardly King Buxton versus 101, is it? I mean, the only other highlight in this heat is that Griffin almost flipped over Sergeant Bash, but unfortunately the rail got in the way, so they couldn't get a 2 for 2 on Sergeant Bash. But I like that. I like that Griffin had so little faith in how Daisy Chopper were doing. They just went after the house robots instantly. I just left
Exactly.
him to left him to limp about for a bit.
Well, yeah, because the Daisy Chopper were you could say were technically immobilized, so the house robots should have gone in, but no, the house robots just stayed where they were because they were afraid of the might of Daisy Chopper.
It's no Matilda's flywheel, but oh.
And Daisy Chopper, didn't they try to apply for Series 4?
Yeah, and it didn't get in because it's rubbish.
Yeah.
That's probably the reason why. I mean, hell, they let Banshee in, but no, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that disappointed they didn't make it in. I mean, there are other robots like Hardvark, Agent Orange, Terrapin, hell, even what was it? I think there was another one. I think was there one more? Oh, Cerberus for Series 5. I think that was Series 5. But there are a lot of robots in Series 3 who didn't make it in Series 4.
Anorachophobia.
Lots of great robots I'd love to have seen come back and didn't make it. And then, of course, there's some I just don't care about, like Daisy Chopper. I mean,
that's the reason why, like, what was going to be the thirst that they came up with this time?
I don't know. But it's basically the same robot, Daisy Chopper. The wheels are slightly better. And I didn't see the disc because the only picture I can see of it is it's got like a fake cardboard disc. They haven't got the real one in yet. So I don't know why. It might probably look the same. Probably might have been a little bit better, but who cares?
It's a shitty looking nightmare.
Also, it costs £250, so it kind of shows. Yeah. It shows.
It's
Now we'll go for another quick battle because again we'll get the two worst battles out of the way first. We'll get All Talk versus Crippler.
This isn't really a bad battle. It's just very short and sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just essentially just them push them into the wall a few times and All Talk. I mean, how fast did All Talk come out of the starting?
Oh god, yeah.
It slammed into the wall. It missed Crippler entirely, went right into the wall.
Yeah, like Cassius 2 and Exterminator 2, it just went straight for it and missed.
And then they got in a few more hits, and then a very, very, very nice push on Crippler.
Yeah,
straight into the pit.
Sideways on tracks. That's hard to do.
That is very hard to do. I mean, it either shows how powerful All Talk is or how crap Crippler was, or both.
Yeah.
I can't decide, but it was a very, very easy battle for all. I mean, what could have Crippler really done? In all fairness, though,
nothing. It was short. It was a quick mercy killing.
It was. Then we have. I wouldn't call it a mercy killing. I more call it as a dough moment of the series. Kilohertz versus Cerberus.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Kilohertz was doing quite well as well.
He actually caused
a hole in. It caused a couple of...
Yeah, caused some damage, and then John Reid decides to fuck off to halfway down the other side of the arena, and then just go. Why do you even go that way?
Yeah.
I literally have no idea why he went that. I mean, people say, "Oh, it's funny because he went in the pit." But my question is, why did they go over there?
Yeah, why did they take that longer route?
Did you decide to attack Matilda for no reason? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, Cerberus. Cerberus. It's a difficult thing to drive because it just keeps spinning around. It's got the panic attack problem.
Yeah.
And when it turns, it keeps spinning. And
then, of course, Kilohertz takes advantage of it for a second, and then. Oh, yeah. And it's. I mean, I don't think John Reid will ever live that down.
Yeah,
I don't think.
We sure won't let him forget it.
Oh, we never will. We never will. There's some moments you can't really let some roboteers lightheartedly get away with, and that's one of them.
Yeah, it's just. Oh dear, John. Well, like as much as I love Hypnodisc, they lost to a wooden robot.
Oh, that was embarrassing. That was pretty embarrassing, but this is definitely up. This is probably up there in those kind of top 10 fails of Robot Wars. I mean, it's up there with something pinning itself to its floor, or Razor pinning itself, or there's little moments where you just one mechanical failure or some bad bit of driving, or maybe also other good examples like Executioner, Disconstructor,
Major Tom,
Shredder. Yeah, Shredder. That was the one I was thinking of.
Spam,
Wild Willy,
yeah,
Millian Bog. There's lots of terrible examples of robots.
Tornado did it, but they didn't go out because of it.
Oh yeah, because they were against a robot that wasn't allowed to be in there, of course, because the producers didn't like them. Anyway, we'll get to the final battle, of course, which is Thing 2.
I wouldn't mention that. I meant in Series 4 in the opening melee when he drove into the pit.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Storm 2 thing. That was Firestorm, wasn't it? That was Firestorm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And the final one, Thing 2 versus Pricefire. To its credit, Pricefire almost flipped over Thing 2 in the first hit.
Yeah.
They got a good solid jab on them. Then I keep calling it Wild Thing. Thing 2 flipped them over.
Just outdrove them.
You outdrove because the self-rider worked the first time. It almost worked the second time. Then at the last moment, Thing 2 got in there and bent the little glove up so they couldn't move it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
But
not.
even when it got righted, it just died.
Yeah, it was something must have happened. He had very weak armor on the bottom because
Yeah.
nothing really got through it pretty easily. But it was sort of doomed to fail against a wedge like that with such high ground clearance constant. I mean, it said it could obviously it could move its armor up and down, but it didn't really do it in this fight very often. So it just kind of like
Indeed.
yeah, it wasn't much of a fight really. I mean, a lot of these fights were quite quick, apart from an agonizingly Daisy Chopper and Griffin fight, which is just boring. Of course, the one fight in the first round that lasts the full time is the worst one.
Yep.
Oh well. But obviously, tradition goes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like, Prize Fighter probably could have. Prize Fighter, looking at it, they would have beaten. They would have beaten Crippler. Griffin, because Griffin wasn't working, they probably could have beaten Griffin if they got under it.
Anything could have beaten Daisy Chopper.
Anything could have beaten Daisy Chopper. All Talk, maybe, because All Talk has a bit of ground clearance too.
I don't think they would have beaten All Talk. I think they got pushed around pretty easily by All Talk. But
Kilohertz, well, they just had to wait for John to drive into the pit. And Cerberus, they probably could have beaten Cerberus as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of robots could have beaten Cerberus as well. But as tradition goes, we go into the special event before we get to the second round, and of course it is the pinball. Getting close to the end of the pinball run. The last two people to enter the pinball
are actually people who fight.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's true. Some of the only people, apart from also Kilohertz as well, I think is the only other robot that appears, but they didn't do very well. And then obviously today it's Inquisitor Mark II, and I can see why this robot didn't make it into the series, but at the same time I kind of wish it had for the funky paint job alone.
Yeah, a funky paint job, and also like that had a pretty good lifter on it.
Flipped over Matilda. That's something. Flipped over Matilda. I mean, that was the run was pretty uneventful. For the most part,
it failed to hit a barrel.
I just find that hilarious. I find it funny when robots go into like barrels and bricks and just don't knock them over.
You just nudge them.
It wasn't as bad as PS Resistance or something like that, but
yeah.
Although the most comical one for me was Dreadnought when it rammed straight into the bricks and knocked one brick off the bottom. How? I don't know how he did that, but Inquisitor's run was pretty basic. I mean, its average score of 70. It's not really amazing.
It was kind of like it was going to might have been worse than Rocks if Kilowat didn't if Sergeant Bash didn't let them get the 50 points, because honestly they weren't, because yeah.
The 50-point target almost fell off as well. They got him at the last moment, and then they got I think all they got was the balls, like the barrels, the
multi-ball one, the left side of the barrels, and the 50-point. But I guess like Sergeant Bash kind of let them have that.
Yeah, so 70 is almost a very relatively average score for this time in the series.
Yeah,
I mean nowhere near to get Dominator 2 or 6 packs level. But of course, next time though we will get the eventual winner of the pinball, but in case you haven't seen this series, it's 17 years old. Don't spoil. It's Razor.
Yes.
Oh, spoiled it. Oh, sorry, I spoiled it.
Oh no.
God.
Even though you could say that pinball run was quite controversial, but not really.
Not really. I mean, and obviously next series they
They just say fuck it. I'm attacking Kill-A-Lot.
Yeah, because why not? I mean, fair. So I love their outfit though. Their outfit was amazing in the pinball run. They just didn't give a shit by that point. It was clearly after the series or after they'd lost.
That's one of my favourite moments of just images, is where you have Kill-A-Lot driving around and just Razor hanging off the back.
It's a weird image. But
just biting down on his back. Yeah.
As you can see, this run was so uneventful. We're talking about next heat's run.
Yeah.
Or the future heat. We were talking about future runs that aren't Inquisitor's run, because it was just kind of bland.
It just stayed on the left-hand side for the whole run.
A very restricted run. Not as pathetic as Inquisitor though, who just broke down. Inquisitor Oblivion.
Oblivion
2. Oblivion 2 is just.
Rocks that just stayed at the top.
Oh, Rocks is just pathetic. I mean, no wonder they came last, because I mean, whatever. But we'll get to the battles, and of course, the first battle is obviously All Talk versus Thing 2, and I'm just going to say this now. I mentioned this before as well, but this is my favourite battle of Series 3. Screw Hypnodisc versus Robogeddon, or the Big Cheese versus that's always considered the best battle. But I'm sorry, I love this battle. This is like one of the most close back and forth, really evenly matched battles I've ever seen in Robot Wars, apart from maybe
Yeah.
King Buxton and 101.
I mean, because Wild Thing couldn't get under the scoop at All Talk, and All Talk always kept the scoop pointed forwards.
That surprised me. That surprised me that Thing 2 couldn't get underneath All
Well,
Talk at
Thing
first.
2 had the problem of it pitched forward when it drove forward.
That may be the reason why. But I
Yeah.
mean, All Talk were dominating the first half. They were pushing them around a lot. Thing 2 couldn't do anything about it. They got good shoves, and then Thing 2 got some nice shoves against All Talk in the second half, and then.
The moment that really turned it was when Thing 2 started to, and All Talk had they kind of locked together and they started having a push, like a power push.
Yeah.
And I think that burnt out All Talk's motors, because after that it started to slow down, and it just couldn't do anything.
Plus, also the push towards Shunt's CPZ
Yeah.
did not give All Talk any favors, because while Thing's slope was able to deflect a lot of the hits and the couple of hits it got from Shunt, All Talk went straight through All Talk, and they actually took one of their like major components out, which started them burning even more. And then
this fight has one of the weirdest edits ever,
go on.
because there's All Talk in the corner with Shunt, and then all of a sudden Sergeant Bash is there.
Yeah, the editing was definitely a lot. There were some bad edits in the old series. There were some bad edits in Series 8, I'll be honest with you. But
Yeah,
my God,
yeah, it's like it just cut into like Shunt is with All Talk in the corner getting hit, and then they cut to another angle, and then Sergeant Bash is there. Just
the hell.
like he didn't drive over. You don't see him. That he's just in the background of the same CPZ. Like he did drive over, but we didn't see that. He's just there.
And of course, All Talk suffered from this sort of King Bee four-wheel box type curse that only Tornado managed to avoid, was burning out.
Well, actually, no. Tornado had it in semi-final against Wheelie Big Cheese. It just didn't lose it.
Yeah, it didn't lose it, but I mean, in the case it didn't cost them though.
Yeah.
In this case, in the other two cases, it always seems to cost them dearly. And again, up until that big shove, like you mentioned, it was really, really, really tight. It was almost like watching, like an ant weight battle where there was like constant, like it's two wedges or two flippers really evenly matched. It's like that. I mean, it's why I like watching the ant weight circuit, because you get some very good simple designs and small robots. And I mean, again, this is my favorite battle for that particular reason. It's really close. I mean, my second favorite battle is definitely King Buxton and 101. That's still my favorite Heat final for that reason.
Oh yeah.
Well, my second favorite is
still
still Chaos Joe and Willie, then the Big Cheese for second. But
yeah, I've said my favorite one is Panic Attack versus Exterminator.
It's
that's
definitely
another match of two halves.
They're my top three definitely. But this is a fantastic battle, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, it comes down to just simple components and a bit of bad luck, and
and gracious, and like in the after fight interview, while All Talk said that they were that they lost, like they said, like they were on top of us, they won.
Well, in fairness, though, they couldn't really be bitter about it, because I think even if I was in their position, even if I'd won, I would have enjoyed it just as much as I'd lost. Cause it was amazing. It was really deserved. Like, it was not it wasn't like a pushing straight into the pit, or it wasn't like a spinner destroying you really easily and that was it, like in 2 seconds. It was like a proper good shoving match. It's been like Apollo and TR2, that kind of match.
Always been good. Well, the Wild Thing has always been good at giving great fights.
It really is. It's just a very nice, durable robot. Even against robots like Hypnodisc, it still manages, or Firestorm, it always has a good go at it. And it never dies.
Yeah, it is a robot. It is like a different. It just will not die.
It won't die.
That's probably why. That's why it gives us some of the best fights. It just refuses to die.
A bit like Pussycat.
That's what I want. That's the thing about. Has Wild Thing or the Thing ever been like? Has it ever broken down? I know it's been counted out as immobilized, like been flipped over and unable to self-right. But has it ever broken down? Like it's just stopped moving.
I believe no. I don't think it actually ever has broken down once. I mean, there are some robots out there who, even if they're joke entries or serious, they never break. Like Diator. Never actually breaks down, considering the fact how unreliable that robot is.
Yeah.
Pussycat doesn't really break down very often.
No, Pussycat never really breaks down.
No.
Tornado's only really broken down once.
Yeah,
that was in a Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's so reliable and so good, because it's just a brilliant robot. And then Thing 2 is another one of those kind of robots. It's just durable. And again, as it comes down to a lot of these close matches, it always comes down to a small thing or a bit of slightly good driving skill or just general bad luck. And of course, because all talk could have pushed Thing 2 into the pit a lot of times, maybe they got a good shove on them, but it just ended up being that they were just against a very good driver. So, yeah, it's again still my favourite battle of the series for that main reason, but very good. And go from a really, really long, close battle to a very one-sided, quick battle. A very, very, very quick battle.
This is the quickest. Is this the quickest pitting in history?
It is the quickest pitting in history. Griffin versus Cerberus. It's also, until Series 7, Gravity versus Dan Tonkia, it was the quickest battle in the series, I believe.
Yeah.
It held it until Series 7, so we're not going to sing a single battle as contenders like Evolution, Spawn Again, and stuff like that.
It wasn't because that Griffin didn't just work. I mean, it did move when Activate was said, but then it moved a bit.
It did its usual Griffin thing. It just stopped, and I bet it was about to start moving again when it got pushed, knowing now, look.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to his credit, that was a very good shove by Cerberus. I mean, I didn't think it had, like, the ability to shove a small, very light, the small robot like that, but... Yeah, it was just... imagine if I went to go and see that in filming. I'm just like, it's gone.
Yeah. This is going to be great and it's over.
I mean, it's
like the South Park meme. It's like it's Griffin versus Cerberus and it's gone.
Yeah, it was like a Cherub and TR2, which is now the not TR2, Eruption, which is now the quickest battle, I believe. I think it's now it's
very close between Gravity and.
I think it is the quickest now, slightly. I think it is very slightly. I mean, obviously the quickest, obviously, mobilization is Henry 2 and Dominator 2.
Yeah.
But this is the quickest pitting, and I believe the second quickest pitting I think was Tornado against Terahertz. I believe. It was like 15 seconds, something like that. It was very short.
Mm-hmm.
There's not been that many pittings. There must have been any like immobilization or flipping out the arena or something like that. So this is actually rare to see a good pitting like that. But and it was actually harder in Series 6 because that's when they had to activate the pit button.
Yeah, Series 5 onwards.
Yeah, I mean the Terahertz Tornado, and that was like harder for them because they had to actually do the process of hitting the button first.
Well, that was because I mean the Tornado guys knew like if Terahertz got a few good hits on them, that'll be it.
Yeah, exactly. But Mike, I mean Griffin really. I mean it's kind of sad. This is the last time this is how we see Griffin for the last time, just pitted in about. How many seconds was that? Was it like
7 seconds or something like that?
Yeah, because I know that it's about 5 seconds for Gravity and Dan Tonkia. But oh wow. So Cerberus won because they were just too quick.
Griffin didn't work properly.
like usual. And we get to a very, very close heat final, considering the fact that it's against Cerberus. It's obviously Thing 2 against Cerberus.
This is Cerberus's best fight. Yeah, all other fights, it just doesn't really work that well. This is technically Cerberus's best fight.
Well, to his credit, this was the first time Cerberus really had to do anything, because, I mean, Griffin was very easy to just kind of pit, because right near the pit and it stopped working, and Kilohertz committed suicide, and obviously didn't fight Mauler, so this is the first time it really had to properly fight a powerful working robot, and yeah, it actually held up quite a while. I mean, it actually got a few good shoves against Thing 2. It got its head kind of lifted up, which was kind of fun.
That's Cerberus's thing. Is like if it has to actually fight, it loses.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like I'm trying to think. Actually, I mean, it's like Hardvark in Series 2.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they had to actually do anything in the semi-finals, like oh crap, we're not against rabid rubbish robots anymore. We have to do something.
They're saying like the only other fight it wins after this is in the tag team with Thermidor, but that's because it's with Thermidor.
Yeah, it would not have won if it was against if it was with Dietor, it wouldn't have won.
And it was fighting Napalm and Sacrome a lot.
Jesus Christ! I know if they're on the same team as like Dietor, it's the only reason why Dietor won tag team stuff was with Pussycat. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Actually, that tag team final, Dietor did better than Pussycat did.
Oh, it did, but I mean in the initial rounds. I mean.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely some luck behind that, but yeah, and it was a very good battle. And then unfortunately, I would say it was more inevitably, they got onto the Cerberus, and it was a very nice flip by Thing 2. It just rolls on its back.
Did the tail get caught on the ground, which pitched it over, or something like that?
The tail was dragging in the ground, certainly. I think it actually, I don't think it caused it, but I think it was just dragging on the ground because it was so limp. But yeah, it was definitely a worthy. I mean, let's face it, unless something terribly happened to Thing 2, it was sort of their fight.
Yeah, it wasn't fighting 101, so it was going to be okay.
Exactly, yeah. 101's like the only robot that could have probably been a good match for them, but it was. I mean, they probably would have go into Hypnodisc, honestly, because they would have got.
Actually, that's what I realised you never saw 101 fight Wild Thing, because what as they say, 101 was a weaponized curse.
It was. It was always a curse.
Like even robots that beat 101 end up breaking down.
Actually, is it me or depending on the order of filming, Panic Attack lost to 101 in the World Championships, and they passed that bad luck on to Thing 2. Oh, see, it can even be passed.
Here's another one. Fluffy beat 101 in Series 5, broke down in the Heat final.
Oh, yeah, and they were winning against Pussycat as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, yeah. See, the curse.
Here's another. We can do. It can all be links. Mega Morg in the Tag Team Terror couldn't continue after fighting 101 because it burnt out all its speed controllers.
Oh, 101 is a curse. Mike Franklin, what have you made?
Oh, it breaks King B twice.
He's made a robotic version of the Plague. He really has. It just keeps spreading. Actually, I mean, although I think the Plague in Robot Wars is Dietor fur. Yeah. It seems like every robot has to have it at this point. I mean, even Inquisitor in the pinball had a bit of Dietor fur.
And actually, I noticed in an episode in Series 9, the Dietor fur is there.
Wow. It just appears. It won't go away.
I think the Nuts team have some Dietor fur.
Of course the Nuts team have Dietor fur. I mean, who else would have? I mean, no one else would have it but them.
It's definitely there. I can't remember which episode it is, but I definitely remember seeing it.
I think I might have vaguely remember seeing that as well. I remember seeing it somewhere, but only they would have it, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a very good Heat final. It's not up there, but it's definitely at least a decent. But I mean, maybe pushing it toward maybe lower end of top, like maybe tops in 6 or 7, something like that. Yeah. I have to rank it probably near the higher half of the middle, but it was definitely worth watching. It's just unfortunately that it was just inevitable that Cerberus was eventually going to lose against them in somehow.
Yeah, I mean it didn't. I mean they had to remove its weapon, so it didn't have a weapon.
No, and it had no other offenses, so it was just sort of it had claws.
And a tail. Was the tail supposed to be a lifter? I don't know what that tail was.
I was said before. I don't know. I think it was just there to be. It didn't have any pneumatics behind it, only lifters. So I think it was just a flailing tail. But yeah. So that was Heat N, and I would say probably my second favorite Heat after Heat J. It was a very, very good Heat in my opinion. Only one bad battle really, as we know. But what would you give it out of 10 if you had to?
I would give it. I would actually probably give it an 8 because there's only really one bad fight in this. Because all the other, I mean, there are quick fights in this.
But they're not bad. But they're not bad. They're not bad. There's no real bullshit in any judges' decisions. There's only one judge's decision.
Yeah.
There's no really kind of.
There's 2.
When was the second? Oh yeah, of course. I forgot when the judges technically, didn't it? Yeah. But. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's a lot of some good back and forth battles, some great robots, some nice design. Look, even
driving.
I mean,
driving.
I mean, hell, even Crippler. It's not a great robot. It's still okay design. I mean, really, I think Daisy Chopper is the biggest weak link in this entire Heat. And I said that Crippler was bad, but honestly, looking back on it, I think Daisy Chopper was probably worse in many aspects. Mm-hmm. But oh well. But yeah, and also
this is one of the episodes that proves like a robot that can drive well will always be a robot with a big weapon if they can't drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, this is the only Heat from Series 3 as well that has competitors that have appeared at least more than once. Because obviously you have Cerberus appear again, Crippler come as Predator, Prizefighter appear again, All Talk, Daisy Chopper with Caliban, Griffin appeared before, Kilohertz and Thing 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only one with no technical newcomers in across the span of the series. So there's something for you.
And most of these teams come back as well.
Yeah, the only ones that don't come back are Griffin, Daisy Chopper, and Crippler. No, and those two. Actually, just those two. Yeah. Of course, it's the two that fight each other. But yeah, and I probably give it a solid 8 as well. Maybe 8.5. I don't know because I give 9 to J. I think this might be close. Maybe probably 8. 8.5 might be just for the Kilohertz pit alone.
Yeah.
But I can't be that cruel to John Reid. He's had enough problems in Series 9.
Yeah.
But anyway, also
his day will come. I mean, he technically is a UK champion. He has won it.
Have you seen the new armor he's put on front of Terahertz? The hard that looks pretty good at deflecting stuff. I hope it does. He just needs to keep his front. He needs to get the front against the spinner and get a good hit. Wait for a good hit. Yeah. Wait for a good hit.
Wait!
Oh,
I will shove that axe down your throat if you use it again.
I think that and we're up to speed now, boys, are the best memes of
Yeah.
Series 9.
Yeah. That's the
But
thing now. PP3D aren't in Series 10.
yeah, they've taken a break on there, I think.
Actually, Sweat said to the Carbide team, "Was like, well, since PP3D are out, you've got to say it now.
Yeah. Well,
Someone has to say it once the series."
them or Aftershock, I'd say it for.
Yeah.
But of course, we have to do the preview of the Heat O. I have Anderson and
That's the robots. This one.
yeah, I have Anderson, but I also have Nate. Nate Tenderwee, obviously one half of the Hardcore podcast, long-time fan of my series as well. He'll be joining me as a little joint special. Because I think this is one of I think this is the first Heat he saw, I believe. I think that's why he wants to be in this Heat. So I was like, fair enough. Good one. It's a good Heat. It's my third favourite Heat after J and N. Actually, my initials, oddly enough. That wasn't planned. That was just coincidence. That happened to be my initials, but it's still a very decent. It's got a lot of weird designs in this Heat again, like a lot of unique-looking robots, and of course,
and one of the legends.
yes, my favourite robot of all time, Firestorm. Not the Series 3 version.
Terahertz was your favourite robot?
No, it was Firestorm.
Oh, that's Sam. That's
Sam. Yeah, Sam.
I get you two mixed up.
No, me and Anderson both share the same one of Firestorm, but
oh yeah,
I love. I mean, actually, hold on. I'm just gonna do this in front of my microphone. Do you hear that?
Is that the Firestorm toy?
Yeah, I got that recently. I managed to get one recently because I never got one when I was younger, so I tried to fanboy for a second. Yeah, it's actually probably the best pullback. Actually, I'm not even just saying that.
It is actually because the flipper actually works on it.
Yeah, because I got a Willy Big Cheese one as well, and in comparison, the spring is so shit on it.
Yeah.
Like, the Firestorm spring, it flips like half my robots over. It's great, but the Series 3 version of Firestorm, it's inferior only by design in comparison to the rest. Because let's face it. Aesthetically, Firestorm doesn't change past Series 4, apart from the inverted colour scheme in Series 4, which looked terrible.
It it gets more and more refined as the years goes on with Firestorm. But
I mean, it's also one of the few robots that's never failed to make a semi-final.
It's also only with Hypnodisc is the only one of the only robots to make 3 grand finals.
It's got a very big pedigree, this robot, and also fought Hypnodisc as well at some point, and a very very good battle.
Yeah. Well, it's fought Hypnodisc twice. The first one we don't really talk about.
Oh, no, I'm going to talk about that one. But this one, though, this version of Firestorm, the bar is just too small. I think, thankfully, in Series 4 onwards, they have the
slow.
Yeah, it self-rides really slowly, and obviously, by the time it got flipped out the arena, by the time it managed to get back up again, barely.
And I had the problem at all. That they really didn't get. They mostly got solved until in Series 4 was the pitching forward problem.
Yeah, in Series 3 it was terrible for this, notorious. But also the little fan belts that kind of didn't even pull anything up.
And the spike.
Oh, the spike. Yeah, I mean Cassius 2 spike did more than this.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's weird. They're very similar to Cassius 2 in some ways. Like, got the spike at the back.
Actually, that's the way I've kind of always seen Firestorm is if Rex could actually drive it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Graham Bone and Alex Mordew are two of the best drivers. I mean, a lot of people say Graham Bone's great, but a lot of people don't underestimate Alex Mordew. Cause he did alternate driving a lot of the time, and they're both really good at doing it. You wouldn't tell a difference.
No.
So yeah, I mean, again, Firestorm is still my favorite robot of all time because it's consistent. It's consistently good. I think it's the most unlucky robot because it never managed to win a single series. And
it did win something, but yeah.
It's not a main series competition. I mean, it's just like Hypnodisc obviously suffered from problems. Like when the later it went, Hypnodisc got a little bit worse and worse after, especially Series 6.
Yeah.
But Firestorm never really felt like outdated at any point in the entire run.
No,
it's brilliant.
And Firestorm is like one of those robots that will always fight a house robot as well.
Yeah, I really hope,
especially in later series, like pretty much in later series, every episode they were in, they had to go at a house robot.
Also, they were the first robots to flip over Mr. Psycho, I believe.
The only robot to flip over Mr. Psycho.
Oh no, yes, and that is an achievement in itself. But also, as I said, I mean this was Groundhog in Series 2. How did they go from that to this? I don't care. I'm just glad they did because Groundhog sucked.
Yeah,
Groundhog was terrible. I mean, it was innovative, but that was it.
Groundhog was built for the gauntlet.
It couldn't even do that properly.
Yeah.
So it couldn't even go up the ramp. So whatever. But yeah, as I said, also oddly enough in this series, it's Firestorm. Firestorm is spelled with 2 words. Firestorm. While in every other series, it's Firestorm as one word, like it should be. I find it really weird, but whatever.
It's Firestorm, and then there's a number.
Oh yeah,
It is Firestorm.
It's the only. I swear, it's the only series of robots that actually names their robot with a number every time. Because eventually, Chaos 2 was just Chaos 2, and obviously,
Yeah.
you know,
Hypnodisc never named.
no, Hypnotist, no.
Razors.
Yeah, and also there was some robots like Thing 2, and then Wild Thing. Obviously, there's a few more that didn't really change their names very often. Like Spawn Again stayed Spawn Again for ages, but Firestorm always kept consistently. Nope. This is Firestorm 3. It's 3. No other version of it.
It was Firestorm 5 by the end, like Series 7, wasn't it?
I think them and Plunderbird are the only two robots to make a number have their acknowledged number 5 as a number.
Yeah.
Actually, Plunderbird are the other guys. Apart from Plunderstorm, they named their robots numbers as well. But
also, Firestorm is one of the robots with. It's got one of the best wins to loss ratios as well.
It does actually. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna look it up for a sec actually, because Firestorm does have a very good one. I believe. Where is the first win to loss ratio? Oh, 33 to 11, a 3 to 1 win to loss ratio. That is very good.
Yeah, like you're saying, there's one robot that did beat it. I've just realised as well in the tag team terror, it got affected by the 101 curse.
Of course. The fault. It does everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, 101 can take out a champion.
It can. And then of course the runner-up is one of the most iconic robots of the first 5 series. I mean, obviously more series 3 to 5. Obviously, this particular version, they were Nemesis, and now it's the son of Nemesis, Dietor,
Nemesis was it was a fan favorite, but Dietor was the one that everyone remembers.
Well, because Dietor was actually a functioning fighting robot. Nemesis was just sort of a round. Like
it was a cake.
It was a cake tin, basically. It was a cake tin. It really was a cake tin, but Dietor actually had a weapon on it. It actually had a proper. Nemesis had a weapon, but it didn't do anything, and it had like a good lifter on it. It was a bit chaotic. It would constantly lift off like eyes and stuff, and it flicked up and stuff, and it would barely work past the first flip, but. It had good pushing power. It was durable. It never broke down.
It's one of the most iconic robots of the show. Like, I mean, it's a good. It's a fairly decent robot. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best, but it's just iconic because one, you just look at that thing and you're gonna remember it, and two, like the team were just such good fun as well.
And also, it's one of those robots I think that caused Stuart McDonald to have a nightmare to try and pronounce. Because I've heard at least 4 or 5 different ways of saying Dietor or the bad
Dietor.
Diotior. It's like, just look at the word. I can understand why not pronouncing it, but I think what someone just said to him is Dietor.
I think doesn't one of the O's have an umlaut over it as well?
No, the I and the O. One of the I's and one of the O's. The first I, I think it's the first O and the second I. I think. I don't know. It's sometimes spelt with it, sometimes it's spelt without it. But
and they went on a radio show to ask what the name should be as well.
Yeah, it means warrior, doesn't it, or annihilator? I think
they just made that up.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, although it did manage to convince Craig Charles to learn some Gaelic, which was nice.
Yeah,
that was nice. But come on, how can you hate Dietor?
Dietor is a Roboteers robot as well because everyone likes it.
Yeah, how can you hate? I mean, I've never met a single person who said they don't even like Dietor because. How can you even be indifferent to Dietor?
You look at that face and I'd say you don't like it.
It's put on its angry eyes for this series.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of another robot that's very, very, very iconic, that appears. I think they appear in every other series. I think Steel Avenger. Did we do they?
They don't appear in Series 6.
Ah, okay. I think there's always like one series. I think with like same with Pussycat as well. Pussycat did that.
Yeah, and King Bee.
Oh yeah, oddly enough, yeah. But I think there's obvious reasons for those ones, but Steel Avenger is. I mean, this version of Steel Avenger, it doesn't change aesthetically mostly. Really, it gets itself right as over the series.
It's one of those. It's one of those robots where they keep they keep basically the chassis of it. They just add more and upgrade it slowly.
Yeah, the axe in this series is very kind of weak. This weird little pick. I like the design of it. It's like a little kind of trident axe.
Yeah.
But really, there's only one thing on Steel Avenger that's the most important detail. The feather duster. The feather duster.
The mess that it never made.
It never destroyed anything.
Yeah.
It's also the only robot, I believe, fun fact, in the main competition. Steel Avenger's the only robot to be pushed out of the arena. Not flipped out of the arena or hit by a flywheel out of the arena. No. Slammed by Storm 2 out of the arena. And that's incredible.
And Steel Avenger is one of those. It's one of those robots for me. I know it's not a good. It's not really a great robot. I mean, it's very hard. It's very quick but it's very inaccurate with its axe, and its axe isn't very good, and its ground clearance is a mile high. But I just can't help but like it.
It's obviously being a bit too thin, I think.
Yeah.
Like, because its axe has got a very narrow range of hitting. But then again, it wasn't meant for
Yeah.
massive damage.
But it is one of the best named robots in there. It's like what I forget his name. He says like it's one of the best ones. He says it's like the Steel Avenger.
I think it wasn't Dave Laurie. I think said that.
Yeah.
I think it might have been. He's a stickler for good names.
Yeah.
Just look at the lightweights and featherweights he's made all over the years. He's made.
Yeah.
Weird names, but. The Steel Avenger is just a really, really, really nice Pokemon robot. I've been playing the game too much today. Oh, I'm tired.
Well, he would be a Steel type.
He would be Steel type. Yeah, he's got it in his name. Come on.
Yeah.
They really should have. Also, we got to admit this team went full out with the outfits by Series 5. The massive the armor, the breastplates they had on them. They were amazing.
It's also one of the robots that I'm kind of sad never got seeded.
Yeah, it never did, and I don't know why. Because it did perform. It's usually quite consistent most of the time.
Yeah.
But oh well. I mean, it's just an iconic robot. It just didn't really perform. It's like Cat 3 to me.
I mean, if Ming Dynasty gets a seed, why the hell didn't?
Screw Ming Dynasty. Oh god. And then finally, the robot out of the robots who made
finally, we've got plenty to go through.
I was about to say finally out of the robots who made it to the second round.
All right. Yeah.
Well, they were GBH last series. Now they are Facet. And
yes,
this robot is probably considered one. It was one of the fastest robots in the series, like 40 odd miles an hour. Smart.
They claimed it. Just the thing is, I kind of have to call them out on that because I don't believe that.
I don't believe. I never saw it go that fast.
Yeah.
Mind you, the fair though, would you want to go that fast in the arena? Probably not.
No. I mean, have you played the Robot Wars games?
Yeah, God, yeah. Especially Extreme Destruction. Ugh.
Yeah.
But also, they had an onboard camera, which was sort of pointless. Mm-hmm. The first GoPro users.
Yeah.
And this robot, I swear, despite how big the flipper was, it wasn't really that powerful.
No, it wasn't, because you could see like it struggled to split up something.
It only flipped over Eternal Frost because it was like on the edge. And it got Firestorm because they were right on the flipper, not because they were like really powerful. It was like I felt like at any moment the wedge was going to bend.
But you see it like when it tries to flip when they try to flip a house robot, like it starts to lift and then it just gets stuck, and then when it drives off the house robot, it just flies up. Like it doesn't have the strength.
It didn't have enough strength to even flip it out off the arena wall when it got stuck.
Yeah.
So it just kind of yawned open, and that was it. And imagine it took some serious damage against. From Sergeant Bash.
Yeah.
Just That's one of the few times Sergeant Bash has done damage in the series. Just really crumpled the front wedge, and then that might have not helped him in the next round, but
yeah, there's like that's and it's also
They also appear in Series 6 as GBH2, which is a little bit better. I like GBH2.
Yeah, I do too. I honestly think it should have gone through the first round.
Yeah, I don't think Sakura Robot should have gone through in my opinion, but but again, Facet. I think it's actually it's like an upgrade and a downgrade from GBH in some ways, because GBH was like consistent with its flipping.
Yeah, G-Race was slow, and this was they went for the opposite and said it could go 40. It's a claim that I don't think it's a claim. It's like the toe cutter thing. Like you could say it can do that, but can it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think Binky said they could go 50 miles an hour, but again, they didn't do anything, so who cares?
Sabretooth could apparently go 70 miles an hour with the moped.
Yeah, Gabe, prove that to me. I want to say, bring it back and make it go 70 miles an hour. Then we have a very unlucky Shumi 2. Shumi 2 was actually a massive upgrade from the first one. They severely reduced the speed on it, thankfully, because the original one, my god, it was out of control. It was 30 miles an hour.
Weapon on it.
Yeah, they put a weapon on it because the original Shumi was 30 miles an hour, and I believe it. Because it couldn't go for shit anywhere. It just drove forward and then hoped it was in the right direction. While this version was a lot more controlled. It was still fast. Had a weapon on it.
Like the Ferrari, a Ferrari.
Yep, and of course, unfortunately, they had to drive in the pit.
No, they didn't drive in the pit. Steel Avenger pushed them in.
It was very close though.
They drive next to the pit and Steel Avenger pushed them.
They got very unlucky because they were actually winning the fight, I think.
Yeah.
But again, we don't see them again. I think they tried to qualify again. I think.
I think I think Extreme Robots has Shumi 2 now.
Oh, I think actually no, they didn't. They didn't attempt to qualify again. Oh,
No.
yeah, I think on the live circuit for a little bit, but that's more of a wedge now, I think, as opposed to the spikes. But yeah, the eyes are really creepy though. Why has it got those really creepy eyes on it? I
I don't know. When do you see a race car? Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
uh,
unlike the last Shumi, like this one does look a bit like a race car.
it
It's got a
does.
spoiler on it, for God's sake.
Oh, it does. It's a really nice looking robot, but
Mhm.
I like the kind of double wheels on the back of it.
Yeah.
Like a bit like I think there's another robot that did that. I think actually Binky did that.
Steg too. Steg had it as well,
Yeah, Staggered it as well. Yeah. Then there's also Sting 2.
which looked great.
It's I love junkyard looking robots like this.
It actually looks like something you'd see in an Alien movie.
It really does, like some kind of awesome, yeah, some futuristic apocalyptic movie, and
Yeah.
it's one level away from being awesome because this is obviously the S3 team, which a lot of people forget because they don't call it Sting 3.
Yeah, because it was, although somehow got best newcomer. Explain that to me.
I guess it was like New Robot maybe, but yeah, it's a far cry from what Sting S3 did because Sting 2 isn't terrible, but it's just a bit slow.
Yeah, it's a bit slow, and that Sting weapon wasn't going to do anything. It's Bigger Brother's weapon.
Yeah,
Basically.
I kind of mentioned it
Yeah.
when me and Anderson was doing Cassius' Heat in Series 2 when they first appeared.
Yeah.
This unlike the Series 2 version, the Series 3 version was kind of camp, where it kind of like really limply. It was kind of
Yeah.
it didn't really hit anything. It just sort of like curled back and forth.
Yeah.
But
It's a robot. It's a robot that looked great.
but
Didn't do much.
yeah, it just didn't do anything else. No, imagine if I could hit this. That'd been.
Yeah.
It also looks a little bit like Predator in Series 4.
Yeah.
The way I can see why, hence the kind of alien theme, I guess.
Yeah.
Then we have a robot that, if you want to last 2 seconds in the arena, then come in with Crasher Nasher. This,
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna make a preview there. This is my favourite moment of Series 3, not battle, but moment,
Yeah.
when the shark goes flying.
Yes. I mean, it's a weird looking thing as well because like it's you look at it, it's like where's all the electronic stuff?
I don't know. Like, it's really hollow. It's got a
Yeah.
saw that's sticking out of the jaw, and it's got a hammer. It's actually a hammer tail, not a hammer head. You can see all like bits of like machinery sticking out of it and stuff, and it looks really like a
Yeah.
massive bodge job. But I love it.
And when it got hit, it kind of looked like it got uppercut when it hit the wall. If you know
Yeah.
what I mean, with the way
Also-
the head just shot up.
Actually, I think its fin is made of cardboard because it looks like it's been painted like really badly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the look of it. It looks very again scrapyard look to it, and I appreciate it. It looks really nice and quite beautiful looking. But my God, it overbalanced. Like Firestorm didn't really hit it. I mean, it hit it quite
They
hard.
just rammed
but,
it into the wall, and the saw.
yeah.
Yeah, it just.
It was apparently it must have been very top heavy. Looking at imagine all the electronics must have been at the top,
Yeah.
and it's like nothing on the bottom. It's just wheels and a
Did it
hammer.
actually move as well? Like, did
It-
we see it move?
It turned round.
Yeah.
That's all it did. It turned round. That's all it did. It turned round and boom. I mean, obviously, I'll mention this obviously again in Heat O, but I love the because of how derpy the face looks on the shark. It's kind of funny when it goes flying. It looks kind of shocked.
Yeah.
The robot looks shocked as well. And to the credit, the kids took it very well. They didn't cry about it.
Yeah.
I love those kids. I don't like it when kids start getting really start crying about it. But yeah, they took it. I mean, considering how badly they lost, they took it really well. Same with the Crocodilotron kids.
Yeah.
Like it's
I mean, in
weird.
worst ways, like Little Fly team didn't take it. The little kid and Little Fly didn't take it very well. And,
Yeah, it's weird though. 'cause
Hippopotam, yeah.
It's kind of a shame. It's kind of weird considering Little Fly actually did decently well for what they're worth.
It's
But
just in a shit heat.
yeah, they got way further than they should have. But
Yeah. But like Ellie didn't like it when Bigger Brother got destroyed.
yeah, actually the worst one. Remember the kid from the Alien in Series 5? Oh my gosh, she was just like completely, she couldn't get a single thing out of it. She was just completely crying the entire time.
Oh no, it was also Hippopotamus as well.
Yeah, she took it badly. I mean, I know they're kids and stuff, but
Yeah.
I just, you got to expect it, haven't you, in a way? But
Yeah.
but it's kind of funny how it's funny how the teams in Series D, like Crocodilotron and Crash and Asher, they both have in common. They both got two kids on the team, and they both took it really well, despite lasting about like 5 seconds in the entire series. So I'll give them credit; they took it really well.
And the last robot is a tank.
It's a tank and a terminal ferocity. And I will say something: as a dumb 6-year-old, I thought this was going to be the Heat winner. I saw this thing go. It's a
That's the thing,
tank.
is like it looks really good.
I love this robot design. It's so cool. It's like it's got a turret with a chainsaw, a tank, a lifter, tracks, and it gets lasts what 2 seconds.
It's like what's the robot from BattleBots that has a turret on it?
I don't know. I don't watch BattleBots as much.
It's because it beat Razor, that robot anyway. But yeah,
Is that Tazbot?
Tazbot, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tazbot, like if they ever came back with like a Tazbot sort of look, like with that like a 360 turret on it with a lifter on it, they could have done quite well. It's just that like they never came back after this. They made another Terminal Ferocity, but they never came back after this.
I know. Fun fact: they failed to qualify 4 times.
Really?
They're actually because there's a robot called Knuckles who also failed to qualify 4 times, but. In terms of robots that actually made an appearance on the main series, they're the one who's failed to qualify the most. They failed to qualify for Series 4, Series 5, Series 6, and Series 8. Because they have like a flipper now. Like they have like a kind of massive flipper, but it used to be like, they tried a similar robot, I think. There's like a brief picture on the wiki where it's fighting Razorblade in Series 4, but you can't really see what the robot properly looks like. It looks completely different to this one. And then the other two, it looks a bit like a almost looks like Dark Destroyer as a little wedge. And then I never saw the pictures of it the other times, but I'd love this robot, even if it's didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It just got very unlucky though against a massive flipper in their first round.
And this is weirdly a robot you can actually play as in one of the video games on the Game Boy game.
And Crash and Asher.
Yeah, and Purple Predator.
What weird robots! It's like
that was a weird selection of robots in that.
I mean, they had something like Scutter's Revenge, which is okay, but then actually Thermidor maybe, but then Terminal Frosty, really?
But Hypnodisc wasn't in that game.
No Chaos 2, no Hypnodisc, no
Chaos 2 was in it.
Oh, but no Stegosaurus, was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the obvious ones, but of course then you get Terminal Frosty and Crash and Asher. Yay! Yeah. Also, one last fun fact about these guys: Fiona Ryland was the person who made the tracks for Plunderbird.
Oh, really?
And I think it was Plunderstorm she made the tracks for, which is unfortunate because it broke down really quickly.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense because underneath they pretty much look exactly the same upside down.
Yeah, because there's actually there was a picture posted on our Facebook page recently of an old picture of them with the Plunderbird guys. Like I think it was around Series 2 or Series 3, I think. Like because obviously they met them around when they were making Plunderbird for Series 1, I think, or Series 2, and then they got into making a robot for Series 3 with them. And they both lasted just as long, so that's something for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Terminal Ferocity, it's also very quick for a tracked robot.
It lasted. It got like across the arena in about a few seconds, which is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only other fast track robot was Hefty, I think.
In this series, yeah. And, well, Mortis also was pretty quick.
Yeah, but there's not many. Like, it's not as bad as Walkers. It took until Series 6 to get a Walker that go faster than 5 miles an hour. So that was something. But
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, the best tracked robot is Trax because it could drift.
It really could, yeah. But I have a massive soft spot for Terminal Frost. I mean, also don't forget the honey. The honey was the key.
Oh yeah.
The only robot powered by honey, I swear. But anyway, that's going to be Heat O. I'll be saying I'm joined by Nate and Anderson.
It's the last good Heat.
Because I mean Heat P is kind of mediocre, and then thankfully the semi-finals are both good, but
yeah.
And also the International League is just, and then thankfully you're back for the World Championship, which is actually okay at least. It's got some good flags.
World Championship. I will be back for this. For the better semi-final.
Yeah, for the actual finale of Series 3 on my reviews. But that's
why in the awards then, or is that...
No, I do that for the grand final. So sorry, you can I think you've contributed to my ideas, so I think I'll.
Yes, I have.
So you're there in spirit.
One of my least favorite robots in the piece of shit category. So
hey, that's something. I think Anson's is as well actually. So. But anyway, and mine.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's preview of Heat O. That's coming out. That'll be uploaded tomorrow. This was Heat N, and I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
I'm Alexthehunted.
Bye.
Goodbye.